Hey, welcome back to YT Finance, and today we are talking about Nano Dimension's NNDM stock and why Nano Dimension can make the 3D printing industry great again. We will also talk about if it's a good time to buy NNDM stock because of how much it has fallen lately, and lastly we will conclude if NNDM stock is a good value at its current price point. We have to remember that NNDM is not a best buy for everyone because it depends on how diversified someone is, if they can afford to take on the extra risk, what their average price is for NNDM stock if they already are holding it, if they understand the company, and it also depends on how long they plan to hold. Remember to go press the like button right now for more NNDM stock news, subscribe if you are new to the channel, comment down below your thoughts, and let's make you some free money with Weeble. Weeble is a free brokerage app where you can buy and sell stocks, options, and cryptocurrencies, but right now you can get 2 free stocks with Weeble. You can get the first free stock, which can be worth anywhere from $2 to $250 for just creating an account, and you can get a second free stock which can be worth up to $1,600 if you invest $100 or more on your first deposit. You will have a 1 in 100 chance of getting stocks like Facebook, Starbucks, or Snapchat, and you have a 1 in 50 chance of getting stocks like Google or Procter & Gamble. To get this offer, just press on the link in my description box down below, but do it quickly because this offer will not last forever. And without further ado, let's get into today's stories. 3D printing was all the craze about 10 years ago, but with such slow past growth, should you be investing into a company like Nano Dimension that additively manufactures circuit boards and other high-performance electronic devices? Because even industry leaders like 3D Systems, ticker symbol DDD, barely survived. Well, I would say decide for yourself based upon your own investing situation. Nano Dimension has over $670 million worth of cash and cash equivalents. On top of that, NNDM has a market cap of around $2.1 billion, which is way up from their original $5.9 million that they were worth the year prior. Nano Dimension is also improving their 3D printing machines, and they are planning to create new technologies in the future. Nano Dimension already has a huge leg up in its specialty niche that is located within the manufacturing market, so this could work in Nano Dimension's favor immensely to where Nano Dimension could have somewhat of a monopoly. Another plus side here is if you are down on NNDM stock, one of 2 large catalysts can give you an opportunity to either get out or to double down. Either Nano Dimension will find a company to acquire this year, or a large semiconductor company could potentially purchase Nano Dimension. In either scenario, this year the stock could easily pop. This is also without us having to consider other growth catalysts for NNDM stock. For example, Cathie Wood, who is the CEO of Ark Funds, has a whole 5% of her company's equity staked to Nano Dimension stock. To me, understanding NNDM's capabilities and the implementation of their technology could give us the confidence to hold NNDM stock long term. Other analysts and financial reporters compare Nano Dimension to that of Apple and Tesla stock in their early days. It is projected that the industry Nano Dimension targets could grow to be worth $2.9 million by 2029, which is only slightly above their current market cap, and that's if Nano Dimension gets all of that business. However, this does go to show if you are willing to wait a long period of time, you are much more likely to be positive on the stock. Now, if you don't want to wait that long for the major returns that could ensue, simply check out the ARKW ETF, which owns about 5.6 million NNDM shares. Or if you want more exposure, go to the ARKQ ETF, which owns close to 7 million Nano Dimension shares. This way you get instant diversification, you have a pro like Cathie Wood and her team managing your investment, and you are still exposed to Nano Dimension without taking on unnecessary risk or having to wait too long for returns. Now, for those of you who do not mind risk, if you keep betting on NNDM stock, you are betting on the CEO as well, who's a mathematician who has impressive credentials for building and selling companies. We have to understand that Nano Dimension is not just in the business of selling machines, but rather they are in the business of selling their 3D printing inks. The machine sales are just to help their ink sales, but the inks are going to be their main source of revenue in the future according to their business model and CEO. Many investors investors and analysts have lost their patience for NNDM due to share offerings, the lack of revenues this year, or the fact that Nano Dimension has a lot of cash but has not finalized an acquisition target. To me, these are all reasonable points. However, there is even speculation that a company like 3D Systems or even a defense contractor will outright buy NNDM. And it's up to you to decide whether this is good or bad news. I personally think this could be good news because either Nano Dimension acquires a company and they gain new technology assets and the stock price rises, or even in a worst case scenario, Nano Dimension can't make any sales, so the company is sold and acquired themselves, but we still have an investment in this technology, and the value of this company is in their technology, which will still exist whether or not it has the name Nano Dimension attached to it. Also, the cheaper Nano Dimension stock becomes, the less risky it is to hold long term. Nano Dimension is down around 16% last month, and it's down 28% the month before that. But even with that being said, if you bought NNDM stock last year, you would be up over 800% right now. The future looks bright for Nano Dimension stockholders at this time because it is predicted that Nano Dimension will experience constant revenue growth from Q1 of 2021 to around 2023. That is the investor presentation average and projection, but I think that is not too far off from the actual case. I also want to point out that the money that Nano Dimension has is actually inflating their overall market value. For example, this is a quote from a financial reporter, and he says, and I quote, "The company has raised so much money, $1.489 billion, that its remaining cash balance, $1.452 billion, represents 61% of its $2.371 billion market value." He goes on to say, "Another way to put this is that the cash now equals $5.94 per share. This means that Nano Dimension is trading at 615 times its 2020 sales, 412 times its predicted 2021 sales, and 50 times its projected 2022 sales. So NNDM stock is definitely an expensive buy right now. However, look at how the revenue increased dramatically in that scenario year over year. Also, Cathie Wood is doing the same thing we are. They're getting Nano Dimension at around $7 or under, which would be ideal, especially if you plan to hold long term, but please consider the risk and reward trade-off that this stock carries. The reason people are still buying this stock, even though it's technically overpriced, is because they are betting on the future value of the stock, not the current value. But I don't have a problem with this investing strategy as long as it's done responsibly. But what do you all think? Remember to leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, and I will see all of you in the next YT video.